Very annoying.
Mm,
At least now you are on the better PC.
we
Yeah.
are live, except it's not showing anything. Everybody, everybody, you, thank you. You obviously put all your good vibes forward there, and collectively we made the live stream work. Thank you so much, everybody, for your
We did.
contribution
It
to
percentage.
the live stream. Uh, that's amazing. Has anybody seen that Kurt has changed the color of his name? I think that's pretty exciting. That's a new development. Uh, so we should
I haven't
all
even seen it
acknowledge that.
myself.
It's red and yellow. He hasn't even seen it himself, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
He's going all in blind on this name tag situation right now. And kudos, Kurt. You took a risk. It paid off. You know, uh, credit where credit's due. Um, yeah. uh, welcome to Space Makers, everybody. You all kind of know the gist. Uh, we are here to talk about making spaces. I think this is pretty exciting because I think honestly, within the next 4 or 5 days, we're going to be reaching out to people and sharing the new Unity SDK. Hopefully, we've one or two things we want to try and solve with visual scripting, and yeah, hopefully then we can start to share that with some people, right? So once we do that, the focus is going to be internally on trying to tackle as many bugs as we can kind of find with the SDK, and concurrently building out this paintball game that I've been talking about now for so long. And then we'll have a much wider kind of public launch of the SDK, right? So when we make it available, I'll probably open source it at that point. So it won't really be as closed or controlled as anything like that. I think mostly we'll just share it privately so that we'll be able to have uh, a little bit more control over feedback, let's say, rather than putting it out so publicly just yet. But it won't be necessarily something that it'll be hard to get access to, let's say, or if you have access to that, you won't be able to just share that. With somebody else if you wanted to, right? Because it'll all be pretty much open source at that point. Um, yeah. So that's that. I'm assuming there'll probably be some questions around that. Maybe not. Yeah, we've been talking about it for a while now, so I'm sure everybody has. Something else I wanted to talk about. We are looking at a first run of an event where Nimso will be coming in to talk to us about the new physics based character controller system that he is currently building for us right now. He's going to be taking uh, some vacation here for a couple of weeks, but I think uh, probably towards the middle or even the third week of next month, we're going to have probably the first of what I hope will be many ongoing events where you guys can get to see some of the stuff we're building, and then slowly but surely we'll hope to start to integrate that into the game and have like a new control mode that you can enable, or maybe we can enable it for you, and you'll be able to kind of compare it to what we've got now, and get a sense and give feedback, right? That's the whole point around that. So honestly, super excited about that. Nimso loves to just waffle on like the best of us. And he's got some great nuggets in there about how he thinks about and approaches physics in games. So that it's definitely a really really interesting thing that anybody who's involved in any kind of creation would be interested in listening to what he's got to say. So I'm going to be super excited about that. A couple weeks. Keep an eye out on the event schedule. Yeah. So yeah, I guess with that, I'll open up the floor. Like is usually the case, we've got this little podium here. If anybody wants to, feel free to jump up. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Or if not, I can maybe see if there happens to be any questions on the YouTube, maybe. I don't know. Uh, Not at the moment. There we go.
Am I megaphone here, Shane?
You are, yeah. Go right ahead.
Yes.
All right. So the Shark Light Theatre uses light probes and light sources, what are area lights, and they're just getting turned on and off by the button presses. So it's when you think about it simply, it's a simple process of a simple light switch turning on and off, but it just has different color effects. So I'm trying to put this into terms. The light probe reflects on the terrain as well as players because we're not static. So it gives us that environment change. So we're able to change the environment to whatever we have. It's like how shadows turn up when we bake light in because the objects are set to static. The easiest way of
There you
me
go.
explaining it.
What was it about the lighting uh, that struck you, Shoseki? Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's such a pain that it's one of those areas that's really not all that performant when it comes to the mobile hardware, right? How handy would it be for us to be able to just throw a bunch of dynamic real-time lights into a scene and everybody be able to interact with them and they just cast light on the avatars, right? Which they do
Well,
obviously when you use them. But
those weren't actual real time, they were set to bake. It was just the light probes being turned on and off. So it was
gotcha,
simulated real time. So it doesn't cause high frame performance. I believe the frame's like
gotcha.
solid 90.
Right, I gotcha. I gotcha. Right. I thought when you said an area light, I thought you meant that it was some sort of real-time thing. But no, that's
No.
pretty cool. There was something else I saw recently where somebody was using particles with emission, uh, which I guess is probably just real-time lights as well under the hood, right? But they were able to have, yeah, point lights basically that could float around and emit a certain amount of light onto the avatars and change that light as well. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I think generally when it comes to real-time, probably one light could be used in a lot of cases, right? Without too much of an impact. If it's just the one and you're not talking about some crazy complicated geometry, a directional light probably could be got away with if it isn't too intense of an environment. But yeah, no, that's really cool that you found an optimized way to do it, right? Because that's obviously going to work a whole lot better. Uh, but yeah, uh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Back to that awkward bit where I just waffle on because nobody's got any questions. But you know what's great? I'll just put it on to other people and uh start to just put people on the spot. Uh let's see. Are we at the end of the month yet? We're not. Lisa, you're still our member of the month, right? I could totally pick on you and get you to say a bunch of stuff, right?
Scatter, flee.
Okay.
I mean, that's the gig, right? Isn't it? Member of the month, we get to go, hey, so, member of the month, what do you think about X? Uh, what's your thoughts on lighting, on real time lighting?
On real time lighting, well,
Hang on, let me make it fun, yeah.
basically you've said it all. I mean, my personal opinion is I just don't use it. I avoid it like the plague, because it does cause uh frame rate issues. And I mean, I've made worlds myself where I've had even just a few real time lights in a place, and even with just me in without anybody else in, it's like tanked the FPS. So I always, always, always bake, even me directional lights. And if it's an indoor scene with no windows, I just get rid of the directional light anyway. There's no need if there's no like if you need the place to be completely dark and you've got 100% control over your lighting just with point lights and area lights and things like that. I often just get rid of the directional. light.
Yeah.
I love the effects you can get by getting rid of it. Honestly, I would just say to everybody, just play with it. Just start with a light and start adding a few more and keep baking it and seeing what it's like, and you can have so much fun. I love lighting. It's so satisfying when you can create a moody atmosphere. Um, the only thing, the only, yeah, what I would love to do, because I'm still a bit of a noob with Amplify. I'm still learning. And that's another thing I see as well. If you make your own shaders, just play with the nodes. Just stick a bunch in and see what happens. I would love to be able to like swap out light maps and things like that and learn how to reference
Mm.
light maps from within the shader. That's something I haven't learned to do,
This is dead,
but
bro.
that opens up so many possibilities if I can get that down and fully understand how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would just be awesome. But
You know, it's something we were talking about internally. There's some setup, and we might try to experiment with it in future because it could open up a whole lot of possibility, right? One of the benefits of having an asset bundle workflow that involves using scenes and loading up directly scenes from an asset bundle is then you've got everything baked in, including all the light maps. But if there were a possibility to have like prefab objects that could contain light maps and be able to load those in via kit bundle, that could open up a whole lot of new things that you could start to dynamically experiment with in the space, right? Because that's the hardest thing about the light map is that it's so statically baked into the scene as standard in Unity. But yeah, like I say, there might be a way to open that up, and I think we might try and experiment with that in future and see if there is a way to make that possible, right? But tell you what, here's one for you,
yeah.
Lisa. You did some interesting things with lighting at Christmas time when we had the hackathon, and you had your
Mhm.
Christmas space. So that obviously involved baked lighting.
Mhm.
What was the secret sauce, if you're up for sharing it, to pulling off that effect?
Yeah, absolutely. It had absolutely nothing to do with the light map.
Gotcha.
Um, that was just baked and just sat there and did nothing. All I did was almost everything was I don't know. I'm sure there's a proper name for it, but I just call it color
Like a color
mapping.
tint.
It,
Yes.
it's kind of like having a texture like an atlas, but it's just a square with loads of different colors on, and I just stick everything. I would reference a color, so every single object, almost everything, has the same material regardless of its color. And then all I
Gotcha.
had to do was animate, yeah, the color tint in the shader. So I literally went from black to white, just multiplying the color in the shader with the whatever, with the texture. Um, and the whole thing just looked like dawn was coming up. That was it. That's all I did. Just animated the tint in the shader.
That's awesome. Yeah. It was a really nice effect, right? For anyone here who hasn't been there, I'm sure most of us have, right? But yeah, just having the lights kind of come up slowly and the street light and all that kind of stuff. It was such a nice presentation to the scene, and you won the competition. It was that good, in fact. So yeah,
Hmm.
kudos for that. Okay, well look,
Yeah.
I'll not pick
Thank,
on you any longer. Thank you for the member of the month contribution, and yeah, thanks
thank you.
for all the stuff you do as well. And yeah, everybody else, of course. I don't want to leave anybody out. But maybe I could pick on Aline. I'm sure Aline's got some thoughts on some of these things we've just said. Maybe she'd like to share them. I will force her onto megaphone against her will and see if she says anything. Go ahead, Aline. You've got the
No,
floor.
that's illegal.
Yep.
No, I can only yeah hook into
No,
Lisa's
you should
answer
not.
because she already said everything.
Yeah.
It's just try to prevent real time as much as possible. Do as much as possible in the shader, because the shader is just so performant. You can do so many things. You can really fake some lighting in there. And also, Lisa, if you want to play around with getting the light map in Amplify, you actually really have to search for light map. That's all you have to do. You have light map, and then you get which function is it? I think it's fetch light map. Oh no, it's sample light map, and then you have another node that's a decode light map. So that actually converts the HDRI values into normalized values that you can just work with them in normal color space. And
Ooh.
that's all you have to do. You sample the light map, you decode the light map, and then you're free to do whatever you want with it.
Ho, 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 ho. Thanks. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like one example we've seen before, right? Which is where you can kind of simulate a spotlight. You could have like a shader on the walls that simulates the illuminated section, right? And then do that based on, I don't know what it could be, view direction or some direction of an object somehow that you can feed in. There's probably something that you'll need to connect, I imagine, to do that, but that's a nice way to fake real-time lighting rather than the source emitting the light. The target emulates it, kind of, I guess. But yeah, thanks for that, Lean. I appreciate your input on lighting. I don't know if you thought there was anything to add to the whole prefab light mapping thing that we were talking about. I can't remember if there was anything that I left out there or any reasons why that wouldn't work.
Yeah, currently Unity itself, I think you can't do light map prefabs. It's only possible with Bakery, because Bakery has a specific script for it. But yeah, if we get this in, especially now with visual scripting, where you can just spawn stuff, pre-baking your prefabs you're going to spawn, that's, yeah, a big one and really nice to have.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be really neat, right? You could have a couple of variations of something pre-baked and maybe be able to swap them in and out at runtime, which would... It's about trying to, I guess, simulate that real-time lighting, isn't it? And there's a lot of different ways that, yeah, people have approached that. And yeah, and honestly, it would be nice if we could achieve a nice universal solution, right? Like when you're in the when you're in Canavanter or just bobbing, and you've got the whatever, the mirror ball. I can't think of the name of it. And
Disco
yeah,
ball.
it's yeah, the disco ball. Sorry, yes, and it's a really nice effect. I guess it would be nice if there was some way we could try and tap into that with the future upgrades to the avatars, make it possible somehow to hook into that, or to add support for some sort of spotlights within the avatar uh, setup, so that maybe you could do something like that and have it be performant, right? I think that's what it kind of takes when it comes to the strategy of how to deal with lighting on Android mobile devices. Basically, is you kind of have to figure out how to fake it as best you can and try to tackle each individual strategy sort of separately with its own approach. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if anybody else has any other thoughts on lighting, please feel free to speak now or forever hold your peace. Oh boy. Oh, well, gotcha. That's a good question. My gut says that since Amplify produces high level shader language code, the same code that you would write if you were writing shaders. It just embeds a block at the bottom with all the amplify information, but it basically writes normal shaders. But that's probably a better question for Aline, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot again. Maybe amplify sometimes can. It's hard to, it's a lot of stuff. It can produce a lot of code sometimes, and it's hard to follow. But is there any other real disadvantage or advantage, you think, to using Amplify over writing your own shaders?
I mean, first off, there is an auto compile. So it tries to compile the shader as fast as your machine is. So that means you can just press play, run the scene, and then just edit your shader in real time. You don't have to save anything. Don't have to check any compilation errors. It's just instant feedback. And also you get this little preview of the current value on each node, which is also super handy to see exactly what's going on in your shader and where it's happening. And also it just gives you all those nice things to just enable. For example, oh, you want a billboard that just always looks at the camera. Just click a checkbox. Boom, it's a billboard. Oh, you want to change it from cylindrical to spherical. Oh, just here's an option. Just change it. You need an outline. Just check this checkbox and you get outline without knowing all the math and all the stuff that goes into actually building that effect. So yeah, I would say it's so much simpler, and but you can still adopt it. So if you, for example, obviously stuff like ChatGPT can't write amplify shader code, I tried. It's not really usable, but it's just great to explain ChatGPT what Amplify is. Most of the time it just knows it. You just say, I'm building a shader with Amplify shader in Unity, and I want to do this and that effect. Please walk me through how to build this. And then you get a nice explanation, which nodes to use, what to connect, and how it works. So at the end, you can do kind of both. You can also just get, for example, you find a shader on the internet, which you really like, but you want to edit it. And it's just absolute mess. You don't understand anything. Throw it in ChatGPT, ask it to explain to you how to rebuild the shader in Amplify, that you can easily edit it. It's always a little bit of effort, but if you compare it, how long it would take you to build something like this from scratch, and then is investing 20 minutes into, just following some instructions, totally worth it. Yep,
There you go.
that's my 2 cents about Amplify.
2 cents is your workflow is probably optimized quite a lot by using it. Is there debugging built into Amplify that you wouldn't really normally have the benefit of in code shaders? Is there debugging nodes, like visual scripting debugging nodes? Or no?
Yeah, kind of. There are multiple nodes that give you current values to check what's going on, but also your output node, where you actually plug in all your different channels, depending on which shader you choose. There's also a debug socket. So everything you plug into this will override everything else. And most of the time, I'm just having a variable plugged in called test. And every time I need to test something and I want to see how it looks actually on my object, I'm just assigning the current value the test variable. And I'm instantly seeing on all of my materials how it actually looks like, only the specific segment I want to debug.
I've just learned how to double jump, you guys. Sorry, I have to stop you there. Aline, you guys, I just learned how to double jump.
Woohoo!
Oh my god. I'm doing it, right?
Doesn't it feel
I can only do one of them.
It feels so good.
There you go.
Yes.
That's it. That's all I can do. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting that if you were coding high-level shader language too, ChatGPT loves that and can write those kinds of shaders too. We've done a lot of that as well in the past. You know, getting ChatGPT to kind of help us write a shader that does certain things. Sometimes it can go kind of awry, but it's probably mostly down to your ability to describe what it is you're trying to do more than ChatGPT not being able to do it. But yeah, you can get some really good results out of it if you keep plugging away at it, like most things, I guess, right? But yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Debugging. I don't know if there's any paradigms for debugging shaders from code generally, but I feel like what you would probably have in Amplify is the sort of thing that you would just have to roll your own version of, maybe, right? By doing, like Aline says, having some sort of input and output to be able to see what values are, or be able to have a variable that you can pass in to see what it does. That you'd have to just build all of that into your shader if you were going to do that yourself. And yeah, I can imagine that that could be a pain if you had to do that. But yeah, I don't know if anybody else knows, right? I'm definitely not the shader guy. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else has any 2 cents. If anybody here is more of a shader expert, maybe Lee. Lee might be. Oh,
I don't know
Sir
shader.
Sprayer, I see you've got your hand up there. I'm going to assume that
Oh.
means you're excited to be here. I'm going to assume that means that you'd like to express to us how you feel today through some kind of interpretive dance. Is that a fair? Oh, you're going to drop a portal. Is that what's about to happen? Is that it? No? No, you're pointing at
picking
people?
blocks
You're
up.
holding a box. Ah, Sir Sprayer's holding a box, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody clap for Sir Sprayer. He's put it down now. And I think he's feeling generally good about it. Nice one. I've megaphoned you this whole time, although you haven't said anything. But if you do want to say anything to the room, go right ahead. But be warned, we can electrocute you if we don't like it. Oh no. Sir Sprayer, thank you for your input there. Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, as always, anybody who's joined us late, you can ask any questions you like. You make your way up to the podium, but as Divine has just demonstrated there, if you slide past the podium, that means that you've got to go into this corner over here that we've got down at the back, which is you've got to face the corner for 5 minutes, and then you can come back and try again. Wrong corner, Divine. That means you've got to face it for double the time. That's 10 minutes now. So down here, down in the bottom right down here, you see that big area down there? Yeah, you go jump into that. And we'll talk to you in 10 minutes. And yeah, if the event ends and you've still got some time on the clock, don't worry, because that carries over to the next event. You'll have to stay in the corner until then.
No,
Oh,
no,
Lee!
no.
No, Lee! That's a 5-minute penalty for Lee. Oh, no.
I
Oh,
think
no.
I went over that.
Maybe from the side. I guess that was a side thing.
There we go.
Okay. I should really
we
take
had
a
a
question from
we
Divine. I
had an
was only joking.
influx
But
the other day. Just real fast,
yes,
or you can go ahead. We had an influx of kids. I don't know if you were aware of that.
I was. I heard about it after the fact, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if it was due to the server being down and over in Rec Room, but yeah,
Looked
it
like
was
that's
crazy.
It looked like that's probably what it was. Yeah, both Rec Room and Roblox, I believe, at the time were experiencing
Oh
problems,
wow,
right? So, yeah, there was an influx of people, and I mean, it's interesting. It's obviously, we don't want a bunch of kids here, so there was a light
right?
show. Let's say there was a firefight,
Yeah,
and
No, I did
Backed
duck
up by
hunt.
AC/DC Thunderstruck. It was glorious.
yeah, yes, and that's fine, and I think that's good, right? We've got to remain vigilant,
yeah,
especially
it
with.
was
There's,
bad.
there's a lot of stuff going on right now, right? I don't know if any of you've seen all the drama over in VR chat right now, but this whole thing about what is and isn't the appropriate age to be interacting with, adults on platforms like this is definitely something that's a hot topic right now. But I think for us, it's very much about remaining vigilant And yeah, just moderating as we do, right? This is a platform for adults, and we're not going to sit back and allow it to be overrun by children, right? Until we can figure out how to extract every motherfucking penny out of those people that we've brought. I'm only joking. Oh,
I mean,
God.
thinking about that, I was like, man, I wish Horizon would go down for a day or VR chat, and everybody would,
Yes.
the adults would pour in here.
I mean, what's interesting is that there's mindshare out there already, right? The fact of the matter is that once those two disappeared, that there was an impact in here,
Right.
right? And I mean, this is one of these early signals that I'm pretty excited about. That I, hope will amplify what we're trying to do towards the end of this year, which is going to be really crunching on trying to get as many people involved and engaging
Mhm.
with the platform, whether that's with just exploring worlds, events, and attending all sorts of stuff that way, or playing games, right? We hope to really lean into that whole space of it as well. So yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's an interesting problem to have, right? Because obviously we don't want to be overrun by kids, but at the
Right.
same time, it's interesting that we're getting that attention. And I don't know if you guys have I'm sure you've seen, but we've been promoting a lot of our events on Oculus platform. As part of even a larger effort internally, we've been promoting events on SideQuest as well, and starting to sort of do some testing to find out, what people are interested in, what's working best. And spoiler alert, people just go fucking crazy for backrooms. That's all they want, just more backrooms. Let's get,
Oh,
would you
yeah.
like to
Backrooms and
while you
Spider-Manning.
backrooms on your backrooms?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so we have an event tomorrow or something with over 900 people subscribed to it on Oculus platform for the backrooms. So yeah, we're hoping to really capitalize on as much as we can, really, in terms of that mind share, right? To get as many people who are aware of what we're doing, and to show them that we're here and we're doing new things, and we're continuously updating, and we're active in the community, right? Those are kind of the fundamentals that I think people really want to see when it comes to these sorts of things. So
Right.
yeah, it's definitely a good signal, and we'll probably have similar future light shows at some point.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to note, right? So there was some stuff with age verification on Meta earlier in the year. They forced everybody to re-input their age to probably get them around some legal conundrum around age and stuff like that. And now they've introduced this whole age group thing that they're going to be able to segment user bases based on age and expose that information to developers. Honestly, that's a really, really great thing. You've also got other platforms like VR Chat have also announced they're going to be implementing age verification, whatever that means, by the end of the year. I don't know if that's going to be across the board for every single user, or if that's just going to be for adult users with some kind of adult sort of spaces that they're going to do with that, right? But it's also the sort of thing that we've talked about a lot internally, and we hope to be able to get ahead of it and have something in place here that can make that problem less of a problem. And really, I think we're pretty aligned internally as to what we think that looks like, at least from a high level. We think that it's possibly best approached from two different angles at once, like a lot of different things. But that there might be some sort of a way that you can verify yourself as an adult in order to sidestep any adult restrictions that could be put on to different spaces on the platform, right? But that then in future, maybe you can actually set your space to be adults only, and only the people who've been actually verified would be able to get in there. And I think, the other side of that, the other angle to that is more of a passive age detection on the platform that might involve certain things that we've seen people do on Horizons and other platforms, right? Things that we might subtly measure the length of the arms, possibly measure the pitch of the voice, put a lot of different modals together and look at trying to measure a thing and come up with some kind of a scoring system that could give us an offline indication, let's say, without needing to process any data, as to whether somebody might need to be considered a child, right? And yeah, we're basically going to build a squeaker detector. That's what we're going to call it,
Squeaker
the squeaker
detector.
detector.
Yeah.
It's going to detect the squeakers, and yeah, you know, and then maybe some sort of it hopefully won't be that obvious. It'll be some sort of uh, shadow segmentation, let's say, that kind of then encourages that person into rooms with other people their age rather than putting them into rooms with adults. And I think that hopefully can be something that we can have right at the level of onboarding, right? The first time you kind of come onto the app, maybe there's some stuff we can build into that process, that flow, to help determine that as soon as we possibly can. I mean, the truth is, though, all of that is still going to have false positives. You're still going to have parents that have verified their accounts, but then they give their headset to their kid and let them jump
Right.
into a space, and we're just going to have to deal with those manually. That's basically the best that we can do, is to try and deal with those situations manually. And I think, yeah, obviously, there's really a priority, I guess, on both sides to ensure that it's an appropriate age. And yeah, I think it's definitely important. But for any of you that were annoyed by all the squeakers that came in from Rec Room and Roblox the other day, you might be interested to know that we've got a little safety bubble feature that we're going to be implementing. We won't go over the top and force it on every time you come into a new space or anything, but there'll be an option to stop people from getting right up in your face, right? If there's anybody who's interested in trying to prevent that. So that's something we're probably going to try and roll out, I'd say, fairly soon as we move towards a milestone that's coming up fairly soon, which will involve hopefully a much more polished experience, especially for new users. A few things around that whole safety thing are going to be things we're going to implement.
That's
Divine,
actually what
I'm sorry.
what my
Yeah.
suggestion / question was about. I've been hearing a few things. I'm not sure exactly. I don't remember who said it, but it might have been you. um,
Ted's
I
you've been
think.
called out.
Yeah, no, I can never pronounce her name right. I know
Oh,
I should
Aline?
know this by now.
Fuck,
I
get
don't want to
fucking
even
murdered.
say it.
Fuck me.
No,
I don't know.
not
She
you.
looked at who are you talking about?
Elaine,
Elaine.
Elaine. I'm sorry if I shouted
Me
it,
over
but
here now.
anyways, I think she might have mentioned it last time we were talking, but I think we should put a button instead of like a kick button, especially for the kids. It says squeakers, and it sends them to their own room, like their own
Yes.
little world, and they cannot escape. Just they stay in
Yes.
that world, and there's like a little thing in there so they could just do the Spider-Man and like maybe
Yes.
a little bit of the back rooms in there for them to
Yes.
play around in.
A little
like,
playpen. Little
yeah,
play area.
basically just
So
one
just banish
little
them all
room.
to the daycare
Yeah.
space, the auto daycare. I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's cool. We've actually
Yeah.
talked about that internally. I thought
Like
it would be better to
squeakers
do
button.
that. That Rick and Morty world where it was all the butts and they were all farting and you just bounced around on all the butts. That's what I thought would be a fun world to send them to. Right? You just banish them to the farting world, and that's it.
I mean,
you,
a lot
you
of
like
the
I say,
kids, come here for Spider-Man and back rooms.
Yes.
That's
Right.
why we thought about it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, we just give them a bit of
hilarious.
Spider-Man around the back rooms. Just make a Spider-Man version of the back rooms and set it as their home space against their will, and then send them in there every time the app launches. That's what we'll do. We'll just flag their account and be like, "You want to go to the back room butts farting space? Yeah, let's go. All your buddies are there. All the cool people. Promise, it's not because we're trying to push you away, so we don't have to listen to you squeak."
Oh, they would just
in order to cater to that situation, we kind of have to build out all these proxy account services, right? Parental controls is basically the name on it, where a higher level account can have full control over a lower level account and be able to, turn bits on and off, or be able to control it or disable it entirely. That's in a nutshell what's required. I mean, I'm honest. I hate kids in VR. I feel like they kind of ruin it to some
Yes.
degree, but it is a massive segment of the audience that you kind of can't ignore to some degree. But I would rather, let's just keep it as we are, where we're going to be vigilant and strict, and make sure that we're that only adults are on the platform, or people over the age of 13 at the absolute minimum. And yeah, in future, we hope to be able to even segment that user base as well, so that people maybe under the age of 18, or maybe 16 to 18, and 16 or below could be separate as well, right? Maybe we'll give the 16 to 18-year-olds a bit of a break from the squeakers too. I don't know. Maybe that's something to think about. But once we've got that facility in future, and we can do that, then we can coexist with the squeakers by never ever having to see them or look at them or talk to them,
I like the way you
uh,
think.
except for on the occasions where we can have an event maybe once a week where we all pile in and we just go around. Everybody's a mod for a day, and you can just go around, bang, 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 kick, 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 electrocute, electrocute, electrocute.
Oh, we were doing
Yeah,
that.
I grown with that. I grown with that.
Damn it,
It got
I live
Squeaker
with a
hunters
squeaker.
or something. Yeah, some sort of crazy
Yeah,
event,
that's
right?
it. That's it.
Oh no.
It got so
We'll have a
bad
ranking
the other
system.
day that we were
Yeah.
accidentally kicking other members that
Oh no.
didn't need to be kicked on accident because they would jump in front of them. There were so many.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting problem to have, isn't it? I mean, I think it is a good signal, but obviously something that we need to stay on top of. Honestly, it's for our benefit, because I don't want to be somebody else's babysitter in general. I think if people want to have their kids in here, they should be looking after them, not us. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I think there's the other side of that as well, where these kind of situations are kind of ripe for abuse, and I think that's really the tone that's been set with what's going on VR chat lately. Is that there is a lot of that going on, and it's kind of unspoken, and it shouldn't be the case, because I don't know, it should be easier to have the kind of tools in place that can help prevent that sort of stuff. And I feel like some platforms do have some tools in place, and they have taken the right approach. I think Rec Room's approach to just cutting off audio between people between certain ages and stuff like that, that's honestly a great approach, because that cuts out a huge amount of stuff, not being able to sort of hear what other adults are talking about in adult conversations, and adults not being able to hear you squeaking. So everybody in the squeaking channel can just squeak like crazy, and all the adults can have the peace and quiet. That's yeah. That's actually, I think that's a pretty good approach to what they've done with it. But yeah, um, yeah. I guess I don't really have much else to say on that, other than yeah, the safety bubble is going to be quite interesting. Uh, I don't think any of you've seen it, but last time I saw it, it kind of works like how your avatar spawns and despawns in a space where it kind of dissolves or explodes or implodes. It's kind of an adaptation of that, let's say, where if you enable it, then as you get close to people, parts of them start to dissolve and disappear
Cool.
down to the actual triangle level. So it's
Mhm.
kind of cool and interesting, and yeah, it's surprisingly, I think, a lot more comfortable than, let's say, just having people disappear at a certain distance, or God forbid, having something that culls somebody right through, cutting them in half as you get closer. Like the near camera clipping or whatever, that sometimes you can see inside people's heads and see the back of their mouths and the back of their tongues. That's weird, right? Have you ever seen the inside of Lee's head?
Yes.
It's weird. Oh, But yeah,
Is that a
so
challenge?
safety bubble, right? So that should mean at least they can't come over and start to, let's be honest, cup your genitals. That's always the first place they go to.
Okay, but everybody pets my head. Does that mean they can't pet my head anymore?
It depends. It depends. They can probably pet your head, but you just won't know about it. So problem solved, right? Out of sight, out of mind. Oh yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really difficult problem to solve, but I've liked that a lot of I guess a lot of players in the industry are starting to take it more seriously, right? Because I think it's one of the biggest problems out there. It's partially the reason why this platform exists is because I was kind of sick of going on to any of the other platforms and having to wade through all of the noise and the massively abusive things that these kids say to each other, and just the screeching, right? There's so much screeching. Where did all the screeching come from? I don't remember being a screecher when I was young. When did that become a thing? It was YouTube, right? That's what caused it. There's some YouTubers out there, they screech, and now it's cool to screech, basically. So fuck those YouTubers. Right, Berry Berry? Isn't that right, Berry Berry?
Just answer yes, Barry.
Is not saying yes.
Yeah, I
No,
just
That's
I
right.
just asked AJ what the two boys that he watches names, and they're squeakers. They're called Justin and Adam. You ever watch those two boys? Oh my god.
Fuck
They're
Justin
I
and Adam.
swear they're called Lanky Box or something like that. I swear. I am
Yeah.
right? Okay. Yeah, apparently. They I swear they're like 13 or 14, but they sound like they're like 8 when they talk to on their videos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's where it comes from. Honestly, we should ban YouTube, you guys, or maybe ban kids from it. I don't know. We should probably ban kids from loads of things,
Definitely.
or not.
Yeah, back
None of those things. Oh, hey, Pony. Doesn't look like I'm able to megaphone you, but go ahead. You're on the podium of posing a
Yes.
question.
Another network issue. Yeah. If we're making games and things for multiplayers to work on, are we going to be able to get a more stable version of the network sync on the SDK version 2? Or is it something we'll be able to create ourselves? Because we can break that network sync really easy at present.
Oh yes, yes indeed. Yeah. In a nutshell, the networking is probably going to be the next area on the chopping block once Gareth, who some of you may be familiar with, is finished with the menu work he's doing, right? So as soon as SDK is out, pretty soon, if not right away, we're going to be focused, rebuilding that whole network synced object system, and probably even doing some work on the sync for avatars and stuff like that as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
completely. Separate from that as well, we're hoping to have all of the space state property stuff, all of the one-shot stuff, and even a new thing which we haven't used before, which is called user state properties, right, where you can attach things to different people. All of that hopefully will be something that you can access and use, whether you're using it from JavaScript or using it from visual scripting. The hope is that you'll be able to tap into all of that as well, right? So that's obviously
Yeah.
that's a separate piece, but it's another piece, I guess, around networking that should be. Hopefully, most of that will be there whenever the SDK launches. Yeah, a lot of it is already, in fact.
That's brilliant. Desperately need that. Right.
Yeah.
I'm just breaking everything. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Yeah, I know there's basically the challenge is there's a problem with creating or instantiating networked objects at runtime. There's some I don't fully understand the mechanics of it, but I've come across this problem myself. It's something to do with like the split brain between multiple clients having that object and having reference to that object at the same time. But yeah, what's happening right now is that at runtime, we're kind of trying to make an identical copy of the object, which is clearly the wrong strategy. And I think the plan is for us to try and explore other ways to instantiate those objects. That's basically what's causing a lot of the problems right now, just to give you some insight into that. But yeah, the plan is to approach that from a whole different perspective, I think, when we look at trying to rebuild that. And yeah, hopefully we can find a much more stable way to do that. We've actually been in touch with the networking guys. I was on a call with the CTO of Photon recently, talking about how we could help maybe introduce more developers on SideQuest to their networking services, right? There's another crowd out there called Normcore, which I'm sure a lot of you remember from last year when we had a load of networking problems, who are honestly crap. So yeah, those guys have released now this whole VR centered set of samples and examples to get going with, which kind of help with, you know, how do we solve some of these more complex networking problems that we have. And Barry is just getting his paperwork together. He's going to tell us all about it.
He needs to share.
And he's got snacks. I'd
Whoa,
like to share them.
whoa. I didn't realize I was being listened to. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Listen to him. He has snacks.
No, just bank statements, opening them up and putting them away.
Ooh,
Well,
even
now
got
you need to
money.
get snacks
Ladies and
for us.
gentlemen.
What's that?
You need to get us snacks now. It sounded like you were opening
Yes.
snacks.
All right,
Everyone
yeah.
We're
snack.
stoned. We want snacks. Come on, everybody. We're stoned. We want snacks.
You know, Barry's reputation is going to go to shit.
Oh no. Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, the networking is definitely going to be on the agenda pretty soon. So yeah, you can look forward to that once we've got the SDKs just stable, and we've got that new menu out. Networking is going to come pretty close behind that. So yeah, keep an eye out for that, because I think there is some examples. We really need to dig into a lot of the materials that are provided by Photon, the third party we're working with. And most recently, we've subscribed to something called the Circle or something like that. It's like an extended support plan that we get with them, where we can actually work with their engineers to try and figure out the best way to do things. So the hope is that we can use that, as well as you know, some of the new examples they've created, and some of the existing stuff, to really create something that's a lot more stable primarily than we've got right now. And yeah, honestly, the networked interactables that we've got were somewhat of an afterthought whenever we had to rip out all of Normcore and try and shoehorn in Photon as quickly as we possibly could. Gareth was about to go off on holiday for a week, and he tried to whack out the network synced objects in that week before he went on holiday. And yeah, we were actually lucky to get that as a treat. But yeah, it's a basic implementation, and other things have unfortunately got in the way, but that won't be the case for much longer. So yeah, you can look forward to that. Yeah. So we've only got a couple minutes left. If anybody else has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But if you don't, feel free to take a seat on Vanquisher.
Hey, I did it first. I'm just
Oh, boy.
saying.
Okay, well, I can just pick on somebody then. That's what I can do. Hey, Big John, tell us, what do you treasure?
What do I treasure? Friendship.
Friendship.
Aw.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good one. That's a good
Amen.
one. Nice. Appreciate that, Big John.
Yeah, I mean, Fredina is decent.
What's that?
Nothing.
Oh no. Oh no. Did anybody hear what Aline said?
No.
If she doesn't want us to know, then it's probably funny. That's probably what
It's
it
in
is.
the stream. We're gonna rewatch and figure it out.
Yes, we're gonna enhance, and figure out what she said. Oh God, yeah. Barry, what about those snacks? You know?
Still finishing them. Sorry.
Oh, I see. Interesting. What have we got in store for us?
No
Nothing?
Snacks. No snacks.
No snacks? Not even a little cracker or something?
No.
little bit of Cracker Barrel. Ever had Cracker
No.
Barrel? Anybody? A little
I
bit of
have.
cheese on a cracker.
Nice
Oh,
Canadian cheese. That's good. Yeah.
there you go. A little bit of Cracker Barrel. A little bit of maple, the maple kind.
Could be. Could be.
Yeah.
Oh, gee. We don't put maple in everything, Shane. Jeez.
Oh no. Oh no.
You don't?
But they have maple Oreos right now, and they are phenomenal. I'm just putting that out there.
I mean, that sounds pretty cool. Maple Oreos. Wow.
And they've got more like cream inside of them than normal Oreos.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, I want to try that.
Oh, they're so good, Faye.
That
Hey,
sounds
Discord, do you want my
amazing.
address? Send this on.
You're paying for the shipping.
Uh.
That's all I'm saying.
Fine with me, I'll pay for the entire lot.
Those are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Maple sugar candy.
I feel
Okay,
a little
but
bit
you
like
haven't.
Neo, you guys, now that I can double jump.
So
It's only like
there's
an
an
extra
outdoor
foot or
education
something.
center, and when we were kids, we went there in the winter, and they would take the maple syrup and they would boil it, and then they would pour strips of it on clean snow that they have, and it would just be this like, oh my god, I can't even describe it. It was so good. It's so amazing. Yes, it's like a totally Canadian experience. They would tap the
Canadians are
trees. They
fucking
had
weird.
all the maple trees. They'd be tapped. It's so good though. Yes, so good.
Wow.
Well, listen, I think that brings us right up to the end of the event, guys. Thanks so much for listening to me waffle mostly, and for humoring me, and for asking me questions. I appreciate that. I really do. Great to see all of you. There's another event about to start. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the event schedule is back to back, pretty chock-a-block right now. We've got a lot of new people doing a lot of cool events. We've been shuffling things around, trying to cover off as much of that time as we can. And yeah, right now, join Psycho and others in the peer support group. I can't throw a portal because I don't know, for some reason portals are disabled in here. But you guys, I'm sure, can all see it in the menu and jump in there if you like. And yeah, thank you all for coming. Keep your eyes peeled over the next week. Anybody who's interested, what we'll probably do, I haven't figured out exactly how yet, but we'll start to reach out to people on Discord, I guess. Maybe set up a private channel and start to share information in there so that we can start to get some controlled feedback around the new SDK. So please stay tuned for that over the next few days, because come hell or high water, we're getting it to you. Yeah, and in the meantime, I'm gonna drop off. I'll see you guys all very soon. Thank you so much. Thank you to Barry for providing the snacks, ladies and gentlemen.
And thank you to Shane for his efforts in providing a squeaker-free platform. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true.